everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Saara Hassinen from Healthtech Finland, representing around 200 Healthtech companies. I'm very proud to be here and host the next panel. The idea of the panel is that each panelist will have 10 minutes presentation, and after that we have a joint discussion. And in the discussion we will talk which team is integrating innovation to healthcare services. We will talk about efficiency of innovations and also how that can be measured. I know especially innovations saving money or workforce are important right now. But of course, it's important to talk other value-based things as well. Well, patient safety, data safety, cybersecurity, they are also extremely important in social healthcare. The key question is actually how we can ensure compliance with safety regulations and standards, both by companies and also service providers. Then we will talk about the role of companies. Scaling up, wide use in health and social care, and export, they are all needed. Public sector can be innovative, but in that cases, those solutions mainly can be used in very limited environments. We have, for example, one example. It's the electronic prescription. It was made by Kela, not by a company, and that's why that excellent innovation it's not exported. So now I will introduce you the panel. Our first panelist is Veera Vihula, and she's the R&D Development Manager at Western Uusimaa Wellbeing County. And before you start, I'd like to ask you, how do you shortly describe your daily work?
Well, I'm developing. So that's what I do. My daily work is basically doing PowerPoints about what we are going to do next and making project plans. That's also what I do daily.
Thank you.
Okay, so my topic today is our co-creation case for creating AI solution for patient record keeping. I'm going to tell you about the journey we have taken from the idea to implementation. And the idea is actually quite simple. We would like our doctors to have more time for their patients. At the moment, we know that our social and healthcare professionals use even hours per day to paperwork. And it is our strategic goal here at LUVN that we want them to focus on the jobs and the work that they have expertise and where that expertise is needed. So we want them to have more time for their patients. There is research globally that generative AI can help us achieve that goal. We wanted to focus first on automating documentation because we know that that is technically feasible. And how do we know that? Because they already do that, mainly especially in US. But the problem for us was that they weren't quick enough to come to the small language area that we are here in Finland. So we made an active decision to boost the market, explore the regulatory boundaries, and learn as an organization. We started by looking at the market and recognizing a partner for us. It was actually our neighbor, actually here from Design Factory, Costa Labs, that we started the co-creation and collaboration together with. First, we did an excessive DPIA and risk assessment, while Costa Labs was also developing their product. And at the end of the May, we were able to actually start the proof of concept phase at Nummela Healthcare Center, with first 5 doctors and then expanding to 6 more in August. How does it work? The appointment is recorded, and a speech recognition program then transforms that recording into transcription. Then we don't need the recording anymore, that is deleted. The fine-tuned large language model then looks at the transcription and makes the draft for patient record. And that also includes the guidelines that we have, that fine-tuning includes guidelines that we have for patient records, as well as the vocabulary in Finnish. And then when we have the draft, the healthcare professional, in this case doctor, checks it, makes needed alterations, and after that transfers it into the client information system. So we haven't integrated it at this point, and the human is very much in the loop or in charge of this process. This is a screenshot from the application, Costa Aid. The design is quite simple, but there is a lot of co-creation and feedback gone into the fine-tuning of the large language model and how the draft is transformed. This has been a very good co-creation project where the doctors have been able to see the outcomes of their feedback in very short time periods. So what have we learned? First of all, automating documentation is possible, also here in Finland, but we also need more product development and additional experience on the subject. The users already noticed positive effects on their work well-being and customer interaction, but we haven't been able to yet actually prove the impacts for the cost efficiency and time savings. And that's where we especially need more research. And also, interpreting regulations is challenging, and there is still open questions, some gray areas, but we've been very happy that the Ministry of Social Affairs and Health have been active together with the Wellbeing Service counties to tackle these issues in a national level so that we have a shared vision how to go forward so that it's responsible but also enabling for us to develop these. So what comes next? How do we actually implement this? So during this fall, we are expanding to more health centers. We are planning to expand also to social services. That needs some DPIA updates from our part. Then we are also expanding to other healthcare user groups. So not just doctors, but we are looking at nurses, physiotherapists, all the different professionals that we have in healthcare. And as I said, we want to research the impacts. And then we are looking at scaling it to the whole Wellbeing Services County and beyond. To conclude, the idea was that our doctors could have more time for their patients, to have better interaction. And there is some quotes from our doctors that have been using this app, and they mentioned that they have been able to have a better eye contact with the patients, and they think that the presence with the patient has improved. And that's, from our perspective, very valuable on itself. Thank you. That concludes my time.
Thank you, Thank you, Veera, and you can take your place on stage. Our next panelist is Rasmus Fält, and he's the accelerator lead at Beta Health, DK National Hospital Innovation Platform. And before you start your presentation, I'd like to ask, what does accelerator lead actually do?
Well, thank you so much for the question. As an accelerator lead, I'm still in touch with the projects that we have within the accelerator. So I'm still advising them on how to actually progress. An accelerator lead, that means that I'm also in charge of my colleagues and their work together with the projects within the accelerator of Beta Health. So that is what I'm mainly doing. So I'm of course also always improving the accelerator. But here today, I will be talking about the missing link between clinical research and solutions ready to implement. Yeah. So what is the problem? I will try to take you on a journey from like top level EU strategy right down to how we actually do it in Beta Health. So what is the problem? The problem is not what you see here. Actually, in EU, we have some of the best research output. I think actually in the top 6, you will find the 3 Scandinavian countries and Finland if you look at publications per capita. We have some strong research institutions who are well-renowned throughout the world. And we have a quite good collaborative environment built on trust within the EU. So we actually have a lot going for us when we talk about research. But why do we then still talk about an innovation gap? And these sayings are not just me, it's from a quite recent report by Mario Draghi for the EU Commission. And if you haven't looked it up, please do. It's great. It's a few hundred pages, but it's worth it. Because we are still talking about this innovation gap. We still see too little commercialization of the research actually becoming something which changes the patient pathways, which changes the way our personnel work at the hospitals. We still have regulatory complexity. I'm happy to see some of our advisors also being present here today. And we still are lacking behind in the investment in R&D in the EU. So when we look at this gap between scientific research and innovation, we have a lot of things in between. And these are just some of the things that I have tried and the schemes that I have worked with. I've both been a support function without any funds. I have tried microfinancing some of these projects, and I have also worked with these cross-regional innovation boards in Denmark. And they have all failed. They have all not shown up to be able to have the promises or be able to help the promises that we set out to. So what I actually think that we need for bridging this gap between scientific research and innovation, it's quite simple. Let's see. Oh, okay. We will skip ahead. But there's 3 things that I think we need to see. And the first thing is actually to expose these projects to decision makers. And that's not only for them to make the decision in the end, but it's actually throughout the process to actually look into, okay, so what is they actually keen on as decision makers? If the decision maker is the manager of a hospital, what is his sleepless nights about? Is it not retaining his personnel at the hospital? Is it about having too many patients, too few patients? You have to know that to be able to build a true valuable value proposition. And then, of course, you also need funds. Money makes the world go round. It hasn't changed, and it's still the same thing. But if we look into how we do it at Beta Health, we are proudly sponsored by the Novo Nordisk Foundation, like some of programs here today. And we were born and designed to be this missing or filling the gap and the missing link between the clinical research and solutions to be able to implement these. And we have a long-term objective of integrating clinical innovation into the Danish hospital sector. And we do that by scaling and developing these innovation projects, both nationally and internationally. So we have been at it since 2022 at Beta Health. And since then, we have had almost 450 applicants. We have granted 83 projects. And we have held 35 plus academy activities. And these are the ones that we do it for and together with. These are all extremely good researchers who found something which could be changed within healthcare. And we work together with them to bring their research and their ideas into the hands of their colleagues and changing the pathways of our patients. And they work with a lot of different things. And what we try to in Beta Health is to personalize how we do things. So the way we do things in Beta Health is that we have these 5 main tracks. We have a beta partner. That would be someone like me or one of my colleagues who will check in with the project team every weekly. And we will have a general idea of what they could accelerate within their project. But of course, we are not experts within regulatory matters. We are not experts within fundraising from VC foundations. So for that, we have expert sessions. And we will have those experts within Beta Health for them to help our projects. Then we also run academy sessions. And this is where we try to challenge the projects within Beta Health. We'll set up an academy session on sustainability. That's usually not something coming first into mind when you're doing hospital innovation. Maybe it should be, but it's not today, I can tell you. So these academy sessions are there to challenge the projects. And then, of course, there's a big focus on funding. They need funding beyond what we can provide them. So this is also something that we provide for them. And to broaden their network, we set up these advisory boards. These advisory boards, it can be with experts and persons from industry. It can be with experts from different hospitals, also internationally, to challenge, is this actually worth doing? Is this also fitting for a German, Finnish, Swedish, US setting? So you have to broaden your view of what your project actually is. So an acceleration phase within Beta Health could look something like this. So you'll have different meetings and it will take quite some time on your agenda to be part of Beta Health. And we know this. And there's none of them being full-time. So we know this. And that's why we also try to focus on, okay, where is it pinpointed to be most relevant for you to accelerate. So within our accelerator, we focus on different things. We use what is called innovation readiness. It's stemming from the technology readiness level, which NASA used to use. And that was just focused on the technology development. Now we have different innovation readiness. This is inspired from the KTH, the Swedish Technical University, in thinking more broadly. What is actually worth your time when developing a new project? So it's not just about moving the technical readiness of your solution. It's not just about doing more research, but you have to think more broadly. You have to get into regulatory manners. You have to think more about how to actually become an organization, because one thing is doing research. There it will be Peter who have built the AI who can support it. But once you get into something which should become a real market product, you need an organization to actually take care of these things. So you have to start to think this way once you also work with us. And of course, value proposition is very, very important to actually get to know what is it that we can sell. What is it that the decision maker, the budget owner, in the end does care about? Is it more patient? Is it fewer patients? Is it fewer complications? Is it retaining staff? What can it be? So just lastly, to take one of our cases, just to see how simple it can be. This is Kjell and Niels Henrik from Zealand University Hospital, and they were looking into changing cancer care. So they found this problem that our cancer patients within chemotherapy, they have to do a lot of frequent blood tests. And they said, why can't we just do that at home? It should be so simple. But they found out there's no certified solution on the market today. So what do we actually do? So they found something that they could use in a lab. And Niels, being a proud and quite risky doctor, he said, let's set up a research project. We'll ship these small machines, they are not bigger than a stationary PC, out to the patient's home so they could start testing. And then they joined Beta Health. We helped them doing their health economic assessment because they had to build a business case, not only for their own region and own hospital to show that this is actually worth it, but also for the industry to start thinking, is this actually interesting to innovate within? So we also set them up together with our friends at Roche, Pharmaceuticals and Diagnostics, to start developing this project, not only to become something where they researched, it can actually be done with these very simple off-label uses of medical devices, but you can actually go a lot more in front of that. And then we started to see, these patients, they take a lot more blood tests than what we say they should do. And then they start to see that, we can actually catch some blood clots early on because these patients now have this machinery at home. So it opened up a whole new way of thinking healthcare services. Yeah, so I think I will end with that. And this is me. Please link up and I will see you around. Thank you.
Thank you. And while you're listening to these excellent presentations, you can also think about good questions because there will be time where audience questions are also asked. And our next panelist is Paulus Torkki. He is Associate Professor of Healthcare Operations Management in the University of Helsinki. And I'd like to ask you, what is the most interesting research topic right now for you?
That's a good question. I think the most interesting question is research question is the effectiveness of digital solutions, digital health solutions, because they are so rapidly developing and we really don't know a lot about the effectiveness and in which patient groups they are working and in which are not. I was thinking a lot what to talk here. It's 10 minutes and healthcare characteristics. Then I understood that it's so many smart people here, so maybe I'm more asking questions and I'm waiting some kind of answers or discussions with you after the presentation. But there are some, I would say, wicked problems which if we could solve those in healthcare markets, the outcomes could be improved a lot. Of course, if we start with that, maybe why so many of us are here today, it's very interesting market from many perspectives. Rapidly growing, it's easy to reason why we are interested in healthcare because the overall purpose is very good. But then there are some challenges and maybe I'm focusing some of them in this presentation, especially the problem of multiple stakeholders in sales and after that the health technology assessment or how we call the evidence-based tradition compared to the innovations. But if we start with the sales process, and I think this is quite familiar to many of you who have been doing business with healthcare markets. So basically you have to have at least 3 different sales speeds. So first of all, you start with professionals, clinicians, or you show maybe the clinical evidence, the outcomes, how the clinical quality is improved. But as they are big organizations, maybe the next step is to talk with the managers that what are the cost effects cost impacts of the product. And as in many countries, the healthcare systems are public, but even if they are private, the organizations are huge, and they normally maybe are using kind of tendering process. So the final step is to translate define the specifications so that the product or solution can be sold. And this is quite problematic in many systems. It may be slow because you have to sell to multiple stakeholders. Basically, it's the problem of the healthcare organization. They should organize it somehow. But of course, if you can have good solutions as a private provider or a company, how to build the process, it can fasten the sales process a lot. So that is one challenge I would be eager to discuss with you if you have any ideas how to build these sales processes effectively. But I think even most interesting question is how do we find balance between innovations and this evidence-based tradition of healthcare? I've been 20 years in research, but also working for many companies, health-tech companies, consulting companies in healthcare and so on. And in almost every project, or if we are trying to sell or implement a new solution, there is a question, what is the evidence? Do you have randomized control trials? Have you shown the effectiveness, the outcomes? And it's very slow if we have to collect the evidence for every improvement. The opposite, as an example, is as some hospitals have been implementing a lean as a development philosophy, or how you call it, and there you try to improve the processes every day. And in biggest university hospital in Finland, when I asked that how have you documented those changes, if you try to build the evidence, what are the impacts of lean, they say that we don't document anything because we are lean. We just improve the processes. It's waste of time to document. So you understand that there is really a difference if you strive for continuous development or innovations, or if you do only things evidence-based. And that is somehow we should think that what is the right balance in different products, in different solutions. Of course, if it's medicine or it's a medical device, you have to have careful evaluation of safety, outcomes, and so on. But how do we segment different solutions that it also enables rapid innovations in the healthcare systems? So one question related to that is that how do we classify different innovations and solutions? As I said, and you know, traditionally, for example, medicines have been evaluated very carefully. They have very formal health technology assessment process in most of the countries. Now we are building a Digi-HTA process in Finland, but there's a lot of different technologies, different applications. How do you classify, and how can you find the best possible evaluation process for different kind of solutions so that we can optimize the cost effectiveness also of the evaluation, but in a long term of the healthcare services? And I will finish with the value-based healthcare perspective. Of course, in the evaluation and assessment of solutions, safety is important. the usability and that kind of dimensions are important. But if you can improve the health outcomes and or decrease the costs related to the patient care, that gives the possibility to win the game. So I think that's very important to think in any solution. How can we measure the outcomes related to our solution? Can we do it continuously? Can we report it? And also, what are the cost savings and how can we report them? Because if we can do this continuously, it's very easy to show the benefits for the healthcare providers and for the patients. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have Saija Stenroth. She's healthcare designer at the startup company Sotemuotoilu. And I'm very interested to know, what does healthcare designer do?
Could I say design things? But I'm not. I'm actually working at well-being service counties when they are implementing those information systems. And I'm helping with the practice and with the technology, how the practice is going to use it effectively. Paulus told that he prepared his speech. I did also, but I have to tell you something. First, my name is Saija Stenroth. I'm coming from Oulu, and I'm working in this startup company Sotemuotoilu. But I have to tell you something. When we arrived with my colleague here today, I'm ruining my speech already. So we were on our way here and pick a cup of coffee from the espresso house. And there was this accident, and one of the customers had a stroke or something else. And it has been a while. I have used my nursing skills, but I have nursing skills. I prove it. And we helped this customer. And this reminded me from something. It wasn't a good reminder, but definitely it was a strong one. Humanity. What we needed there was humanity, couple of capable hands, and this togetherness. And actually what I needed also was digital twin for this man, maybe, and okay, maybe some instruments and medications also, but I didn't have those. And I hope he's doing fine now. The ambulance got him. Yes, but that was the story. Now in my prepared speech, technology is a great tool. We have great innovations in Finland. I think that's a fine thing. And technology is an enabler. But the real value comes from how we use it in practice. And there can be problems now and then. If the old habits remain unchanged, despite all the technological advances we have, innovation's full potential is never fully realized. So what's behind this? Why can it be so difficult to change old habits? When we are integrating innovation in healthcare, there can be several challenges and I think I'm struggling with all of these. One is over-focus on technology. Other is VEGU goals. I like the word VEGU. I love the word in Finnish. It's called hähmäinen. And the third one is actually issues with change management. So we know technology alone isn't enough. If the professionals are not equipped to use it effectively, technology will fail to deliver its promise. Especially when we are working in such an intensive care or intensive field as social and healthcare is. We almost never have this purely technology or information system projects. I claim that it's always people's projects. And that means we have to deal with changing operational structures, changing operational models, and they can be rooted very deep into the people's minds and also in organizations. Systems can change rather quickly, but people's ability to adapt, it's much more slower. So, is it clear where we're heading? What are we aiming to achieve with these technological solutions? And maybe you've heard that it's a lot harder to give up old ways than to learn new ones. Successful implementation requires us to understand three things: what we want to change, what exactly will change, and who is affected by the change. And I have a few real-life examples here. The idea of digital calendar in social and healthcare, it may sound quite simple, but when you take into account the starting point, the point where the change is going to start, and the many variations the manual calendar has adapted to, managing the change can be surprisingly difficult. We have conducted this survey in one well-being service county. According to this, about 60% of the professionals still used paper calendar for scheduling appointments, even though electronic appointment system had already been in a place and for a long time. Another example I have here is from failure demand. I define it shortly, but first, when we aim to enhance service process for organizations, for professionals, and we are moving to digital platforms, we are reducing real-time interactions. This actually can lead to a growing amount of failure demand for customers. So failure demand means shortly when service fails to meet customers' needs. And in this case, if the digital platform fails to address the citizens' actual need, it fails to help, and the citizens are likely to seek the help or through all available channels they ever could find. They even can create new ones. So what value are we trying to create, and for whom? Much of these insights comes from professionals themselves. They are the people who live and breathe the daily work. But they don't need quick fix, and quick fix means this bandage over bandage kind of solutions. Technology won't improve practice unless we address the real challenges of daily work. So whose problem are we solving? Is it the patients, professionals, businesses, organizations? Another key point here, when the development moves forward, we often forget to track how to bring about the needed change. We often also forget to remind ourselves about the goals. It's important to remember that people drive change. So here's, I think, the catch. The success of innovation relies on good change management and effective collaborative development. And implementation needs co-creation. And this co-creation, I think Veera mentioned it. It's trending, it's gaining momentum, and I think for a good reason. It ensures that new systems truly support operations in a right way, and they engage people in the change process. The earlier co-creation begins, the better the outcomes are. And supervisors plays a critical role in here in healthcare. They manage resources and they understand the operational goals. And when these goals align with the development efforts, it's much more easier to justify solutions and make also decisions throughout the whole development. But for this to happen, goals must be established together. So it's really about people, make sure participants have the information and understanding they need, how the new system is going to affect on them. This actually builds motivation and also the commitment. And create routines. It helps people to prepare and anticipate changes. Think about those multidisciplinary teams involved who should be with you. And don't assume, instead, ask questions, gather feedback, and throughout the process, not just at the end. And one of my discoveries here, don't make assumptions. Thank you for your time. I look forward to continue discuss with these issues.
Thank you. Those are very, very important issues. But we have next Heikki Hieminen, and he's the head of Biodesign Finland. And I'm sure that you are not only that, so I want you to describe what is your main job.
My main job is heading a research laboratory. I'm an assistant professor at Aalto University and also leading the Biodesign Finland program. Thank you very much, Saara, for the introduction, and it's a great pleasure to be here talking about Biodesign Finland and how Biodesign innovation process can be a way to create need-driven medical technologies. Biodesign Finland is a program that is it's not a company. It's a collaboration between several hospital, universities, well-being counties, also Oulu, Business Oulu and Helsinki Innovation Fund is contributing to our funding. So Biodesign Finland is a need-driven medical technology innovation and training program which produces experts in health technology solutions to healthcare and new business. And we actually recruit experts to our annual projects, and we train the Biodesign Innovation Fellows who were actually today moderating or facilitating those workshops with you. And for these Biodesign Innovation Fellows, we aim to offer the best starting point for creating medical technology for the benefit of the patient globally. So the Biodesign innovation process has been originally developed in Stanford University, and currently it's being implemented worldwide in various programs. I'm happy to see that many of these programs are well presented in this event: Japan, Denmark, India, UK, etc. I should not define the word innovation. I'm pretty sure that everybody agrees somewhat what this means, but in practice I do see that innovation is understood in different ways, and in the following I will basically discuss that how we at Biodesign see that. the best definition for innovation, from my perspective, that's my opinion, is by Professor David Burkus, who said that innovation is the application of ideas that are novel and useful. Creativity, the ability to generate novel and useful ideas, is the seed of innovation, but unless it's applied and scaled, it's still just an idea. So we have the element of novelty, we have the element of usefulness. It has to be applied into practice, in that it has to have scaling potential, and it has to be actually scaled. It has to be applied, the scaling as well. And then some also would like to add to the definition that it should be commercially exploited. But few things about innovation and how sort of we think about it in biodesign. So we start from the current situation. We really want to understand that what are the needs of the healthcare, what is lacking, or what are the poor results. And based on that process, we want to understand that what are the needs, what is the things that are not quite well in the current state. And then we go into imagining the future, that what is the better future, what is the better state, and what are the better results that we could obtain, and by addressing these needs. And here we find the opportunity for innovation. We go from current state to the future state. There are different approaches for innovation, and one approach is idea-driven innovation. I get an idea of this kind of a product. We could how could we use this? Like the question is, I have an idea. Where can I apply it? Where to fit this in? The other approach that we employ in biodesign is the need-driven innovation approach. I have identified a need. What's the best way to address it? Basically, understanding the customer need, the healthcare need, we then basically try to consolidate the best resources, best understanding in order to create the technology that addresses the need, not just solving the problem. The technology is just an instrument to make the impact. So the impact is the point. The technology is just, I would like to think that it's a small piece, and it's something that we can somehow address or create. But the impact is what we're after. So in biodesign, we rely on interdisciplinary co-innovation. We run these annual programs. If you see a T-shirt with a Biodesign Finland, talk to those people. They are our Biodesign Innovation Fellows or Associates, and they can tell that how can you apply to our program. So next spring we'll have the next cycle. That's the advertisement. I was not paid for that. We train Biodesign Innovation Fellows, and then we take the Biodesign Innovation Fellows to the hospital environment to spend time in there making observations, identifying that what is not quite actually on the grassroots level working in the healthcare system. Then the clinicians actually step in at this phase and bring the clinical expertise and work the clinicians and the Biodesign Innovation Fellows work together in order to identify the unmet need in healthcare. Then the Innovation Fellows link with researchers, get the solution expertise, technical expertise, research expertise in order to come up with new medical technology solutions. So we are already now seeing the better future here with the new medtech solutions, and the need that we identified, that's the current state that we were talking about in a moment. And then through strategy development for how to commercialize this and fundraising, then aim to end up in a situation where there is new business created, and most importantly, better patient care. So does this need-driven approach work? I'd like to convince you that the answer would be yes. With the next slide, here are some of the technologies that we have spun out from our programs. For example, the Lumeral technology in the left upper corner for better management of oral infections and oral health. You can find that product from pharmacists already. It's being marketed and sold. Vital signs bring sort of auscultation of lung and cardiac sounds into waiting rooms and home care and self-care. SpectraCore is bringing, we think, the very first technology to measure the oxygen levels of the heart during the heart surgery when the heart has to be stopped. There's no such technology, or at least recently there was no such technology on the market. Autoscreen is providing more sensitive and earlier detection of hearing problems at a considerably lower cost. And Natal Minds is developing digital therapies for females in labor for fear of birth giving. So far, 1 million treatments delivered by technology coming from our program to these 34 innovation fellows that we have trained. 1.7 million has been invested into our fellows, and they have raised 6 million euros as funding already. So as a take-home message, I'd like to leave you the following. So Biodesign innovation process facilitates need-driven creation of medical technologies. The solution is invented to the need rather than solution looking for a need. And this is enabled by seamless co-innovation by innovation fellows, clinicians, and researchers. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you. Then we have Ryoichi Nagatomi. He's a managing director of Japan Biodesign program at Tohoku University. And I'm very interested to know what kind of collaboration have you got with Finnish Biodesign program?
Well, not exactly up to now, but like we are going to start, hopefully. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so I'd like to share our experience in Japan, the Biodesign program, just presented by Heikki. Thank you very much. So I'll skip my introduction part for the Biodesign, but this is a need-driven program for so we want to have more biodesigners, the need-driven innovation people. So, but I'd just like to mention that I have my background. I'm an MD, but like my background or the major focus is sports science. But sports, so you'll know, sports science is very important in the end. Okay, now let me just go through. So how we started Japan Biodesign, your Biodesign started 2016, right? So we launched 2015. But not only with one university, but 3 universities in Japan. So Tohoku University is us in Sendai. We are in the northeast part of Japan. Oh, and there's also University of Tokyo, located in Tokyo. And there's also other university, Osaka University. So 3 major universities. And why 3 universities? Just below. So we all have the government-approved or government-supported clinical translational research center. So we are heavily funded. And we also have strengths, and all the 3 universities have strengths in biomedical engineering, in research and education. And especially, we launched our first biomedical engineering PhD program in Japan in 2008. And and of course, like we had a relationship with Stanford, the global faculties. So we sent like people to Stanford, and then they were trained as to serve as a mentor for the Biodesign program, which is, as already mentioned, a needs-driven innovation for unmet medical needs. So, and we have memorandum MOU with Stanford Biodesign until this March, and 2 universities has, they started a new program, but we are now more independent. So, and we'd like to have more collaboration in other parts of the world. So the basic program of Biodesign is up in the, so it is like a fellowship, it's called fellowship program. And as Heikki had shown, like we started with clinical immersion, and then the needs identification, and then needs selection, and concept selection for to serve the needs, to have a solution for the need, and then well they all go into business planning. So we harbor. So each university have one team about this needs-driven innovation, and up to 4 people, four fellows of different background. So every year we have basically like 12 fellows across the country, and then they try to find unmet needs, unmet clinical needs, and then try to invent something. So we also have support from the Japan Agency for Medical Research and Development down there, and also we have the Japan Federation of Medical Device Associations. So that's how we started. And of course, like I'm not going to repeat like in details, but the innovation can be learned, starting from need identification, screening, and invention. Oh no, I'm sorry about this. Yeah, the word is separated here, but like, yeah, and finally the implementation. So the Polyok, Dr. Polyok is the founder of Stanford Biodesign, and I like his word, like a well-characterized need is a DNA of innovation, for innovation, and I like that. And I'm sure like, innovation can be learned as you, so as you teach sports, as you coach sports teams. So in the end, like I will, try to identify some challenges in our program, but let's start with what we've done, come up with. Oh no, the words are split it up. Okay, not very happy about this, but anyway, okay. Up here, we have. Do I have a pointer? This one. Okay, so I think the font is not working very well.
It works.
This one?
Previous one, it worked. It's very small.
Where? Uh-oh, I have my problems with my site. Okay, that's just, okay. In 2015, our Prime Minister, he's already passed away, when he was gunshot and killed, but like, visited Stanford in 2015, and I was with him. And then we had like a negotiation with Stanford people and launched the program in 2015 with 3 universities, as I already mentioned. And we also have, we in 2019, just before COVID-19, we launched our Japan Biodesign Society to have this needs-driven innovation across the country, not only 3 universities, but like gathering all the other universities interested in innovation. And we are organizing annual conferences, workshops, and our biodesign community is growing. Sorry about that, but like we have, we organize workshops, to let people know about the new needs-driven medical device innovation, and we are involving more and more people. And there are like translated textbooks and annual meetings, as I mentioned. And as a result, like we have, so we educated almost like 100 people and launching 28 projects. And among them, we've been successful in launching 11 startups, and 5 projects are now under preparation. And 4 spin-out startups and one licensing. And the amount of capital raised by the startups was, the figure is quite similar about your Finnish Biodesign, like this. So, but you know, also interesting, among the fellows, there are people, and our fellowship program is not a full fellowship program. As I wrote, it's a part-time. So people, like the fellows, belong to companies or university, academia, or even like, you know, in public sectors, but they somehow like join the program and do the part-time jobs. And interestingly, like those people from industry had launched an in-house ventures, and now the number is growing. It's like 4 and more. And we also launched in our BC program and workshops for the master course students, and now they're going to industries and also from FDA equivalent in Japan, and you know, and they're playing different roles in the medical device innovation. Okay, and one of the companies, RemoHab, was M&A by a big company called Airwater. You might not know, but like it's 2 years ago. And the other one, a very small one here. Okay, just next to the Airwater, you can read M-A-R-I, Mari. Okay, and this is now they're about to finish their the final clinical test, and it's about the solution for sleep apnea. And and indeed, like in the proof of concept phase, I was the very first one, which turned out to be effective. But anyway, okay. So now, what are the challenges? Now you see on the right. Oh no, it's covering some words, but so this is like, you know, a football team. Okay, 4 players up, winger, center forward, winger. And in the midfield, the yellow, center midfield, center midfield. Okay, you have 3 midfielders and also the defenders and the goalies. So this is exactly what we are facing, you know, for a successful team. Okay, the challenges. So we have applicants, but not too many. I learned that the Finnish Biodesign, you have like a competitive selection of the fellows, but we have this recruitment phase, but like we only have, it's not competitive, okay? Just 3 to 4, or maximum 5 per year for each university. So, and even we also tried to, you know, talk to people. Okay, if we had the full fellowship program paid, okay, but not many people are interested in. 1 year is not enough. They need to have like money for living for more than 3 years. That's what they say, and that's impossible. So 1 year full support is not attractive enough in Japanese students or people. And okay. Then we have 4 in a team, but usually there could be conflicts, and especially when you have expert people, you know. So they already have their own idea, you know, when they apply. So they somehow want. So we tell them, but this program is okay. You start with flat ideas, like don't like push your idea. So it's once you have a great idea, it's like an idea-driven innovation, and this is no good, like tech push. So yeah, so then, you know, what happens is that the conflicts among the members, like 4 players, you know, wants to shoot on the right corner, but the other one wants to shoot in the left, or the other one wants to pass. So they don't have the unified idea to make a goal. Okay, so what? And there is the other issue. So never give up mind. Sounds to be good, but never give up mind may deprive the opportunity to pivot. So they're like so even needs can be reworded and to make it to a different need and solution as well. So this happens. Okay, and the needs. Okay, we send the fellows to clinics, hospitals, and they try to identify unmet clinical needs, talking to the medical experts as well, as been introduced by Heikki. But the problem is, does the identified need have a big enough impact? Of course, like this involves the market size, so the impact needs to be big enough. Or if at this, because this is unmet needs, people are not aware of this. So it's possible that you cannot calculate or you cannot estimate the size of market, but then you have to have a good idea if this need could grow big enough. Then you'll have a chance to be invested. So value proposition is exactly at this point. Okay, then lastly, embedded concepts. You need some proof of concept anyway. Okay, and before the clinical test. Otherwise, so for clinical tests, like you need quite an amount of money. But before that, you have to be able to prove that if it could work or not. Devices could be tested on animals, or even cells. But at some stage, you need like pathophysiological understanding of human experiments. But who does it? Who's going to prove it? Many also, in Japan, people are expecting people from academia to do the experiments, the testing. But many people are focusing on their main track and would not collaborate with us. So now, I'm at the stage of recruiting people who could collaborate at the proof of concept stage. So then, what's been told before with other speakers may go into business. So that's our challenge. So for future directions, we are like now in our university, we are trying to expand more people. They expand the interest of people and this kind of needs-driven innovation. So we organize workshops in different sectors of people, including like industry students and healthcare professionals and others. So that's been written here. And also like clinical immersion are focused on like university hospitals. But this is not a good idea because we have like specific clinical process and or advanced clinical steps in university hospital, but not in local, so which is not exactly the same in the local regional hospitals. Right, so, and the needs database, we are also thinking very similar, and eventually we'll try to, we can also try to show you, but like, as you know, like Japan, US or European countries, we have different medical care system. So if you want to come to Japan, you need to be aware of how our system works. So please let me know, and then I'll be able to tell you what it is. Okay, so thank you very much. This is the end of my talk, and hopefully we can discuss about the challenges. Thank you.
And thank you. And one more question, Ryoichi. You mentioned there's a failure database as well. What is that?
Yes, of course. Like the failure database is also important. So, okay, why a particular startup didn't work? Okay, so what challenges did they face, and they could not come over? And one of the issues. So several issues I've already talked about, the challenges. So we would like to pile up what could be the challenges that led to failure, and how could we serve it. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks.
Very good point. Okay, our last panelist is Heikki PItkänen. He's a CEO of Lean Entries, and I know, Heikki, that you have mentioned many times regulatory strategies. Why is that needed?
Thank you, Saara, for the introduction, and I will answer the question in my presentation. It's great to be here and to be part of the solution. And I now give you permission here, everybody, to move your chair if you like. It's a service demonstration, so you're able to, go take another seat and then come back if you like. Regulatory. Come from Lean Entries. It's owned by Lab Quality nowadays. And Lab Quality, the back office behind this digital sandbox of ours, Lean Entries. We have some 130, 140 regulatory quality and clinical research experts in Finland, Sweden, Poland, and Germany. So I just want to give you that number to understand what is backing up what we do in the digital format and push it out in the minute format for you to learn regulatory. I don't need to go back to statements like this, which is from 2020 already, during the pandemic. AdvaMed in the US stated something like this. Everybody knows these days this fact already. Regulatory is tough and innovation is struggling to get through it. Back even just 4 years from now, and it was not on the table as much. People were shying away from the regulatory a little bit. They were saying, nah, let's not look at regulatory. It's a little bit gray and dull. But now it's everywhere. Every one of your programs are pushing it, and we're doing a lot of good in educating these innovators from the grassroots level to understand where they are headed if they are headed to such a regulated field. They need to have that knowledge to get started. Let's get hands up, who of you have used our system? Just to get the understanding, how many are we here? All right, some already. This is the challenge in a drawing. You're the innovator there. You have this pile of paper typically in front of you, what to do. And you might not be the one who would want to touch that regulatory topic at all. So out of this complexity, we can turn it into what you'd like to experience in a more personalized manner. And I'm not saying that we're solving the whole thing, because regulatory is such a wide thing, and there's a lot of activity you need to put together. But we're telling you that you need to be educated, you need to understand the principles. So instead of going like it traditionally does, you don't have the resources to focus on regulatory, you go along those gray lines. We'd like to push you on a new level of understanding, to discuss it with your team, with notified bodies, with authorities, with Healthtech Finland, with your programs, with everybody. All of you would be on a new level of understanding, going through these tracks that I'm going to show, and also attending trainings, etc., that we also push out by Lab Quality. And this is about de-risking your path into the market, knowing the facts so that you can make educated decisions going forward. So let's move into the tools. And now this first one, it's a bit tiny, but I'm sure you see enough. This is something we 2-3 years back started designing together with the Danish Life Science Cluster. And I'm very happy to have Rasmus here as well, because he was one of the people I had met before already. So we got to moving forward with the Danish Life Science Cluster. And this is called the regulatory journey. And this is what then pushes you with the regulatory strategy, a draft regulatory strategy in the learning. Let's say that the first thing we want to achieve is to explain and to educate, push information in a format of a questionnaire towards you. So let's take this journey, a few presses at least. Let's say it's a combination. It's an electromedical device of some sort, so it's both hardware and software. The first regulatory principle you need to understand, the intended purpose. And if you never bumped into this topic, you could then pull out the terminology. You could turn on references to see where does this information come from, this text. It's from these MDR and IVDR sources, article X and Y. And this is something you can also press and get to the actual URLX website then to read all about it. Use these tools, what they have created to navigate the regulation. And then we've added something that the MDCG guidance documents from the European Commission don't have. We collected about 20 consultants together from Finland and from Denmark, examples and guidance regarding what an intended purpose of a medical device could look like. So this is what you get when you enter this particular tool. And we also hope that we reach you somewhere around here where you only have an idea, let's say, towards innovation. And we also educate you with these further answer options that your intended purpose is something that evolves. It's not something that you put on the table on day one and it doesn't change, but it gets better, it gets more focused while you move forward, have more knowledge from clinical evaluation, risk management moving forward. But this is where we caught you, because these programs allowed you to get your hands on with these tools. Now, is it a medical device, an MDR product, an IVDR product? What is it? If you don't know, you can go to that other tool, the original one, where you are educated on topics like qualification and classification. I'm sure I have it open here. Am I in the web? Yep. This is the one that should have opened. So this takes you through qualification and classification. I'm not going to go any further, but you get a report out on what is the probability in your case that it's actually a medical device. And you can try it and navigate it back and forth, figure out if you could be perhaps wellness instead and go to the market with a wellness purpose and then evolve into a medical device into the future. What's the classification? Could you go into a lower class first and then maybe evolve into a higher? These are also tied into your regulatory strategy and business strategy. Then moving back, I learned that it's an MDR product, let's say. I learned that it was a class 2A product. If you didn't know, that's also in that other tool. And then other topics. Critical thought thoroughly with the Danish Life Science Cluster. Let's say that it's medical electrical equipment. We already learned that it has some consequences. We have a full series of standards that we need to apply. Let's say that it also holds machinery. We have the machinery directive to apply. It also comes into contact with the patient, so biocompatibility, biological safety comes into play, and this would be the standard series. A lot of items to worry about, which you might not have known about. Few notches forward, here's the hottest topic of today. Artificial intelligence, and this is where in joint action with a few parties, and I'm gonna pop to our website into our articles and news. This is what we have just now put together, and the beta version of the AI Act in the entries format is now in testing by the joint action parties and our lab quality personnel. And this is where, if I just go quickly to the very end of it, you'll see who's involved. So it's Sitra, it's Technology Industries and AI Finland, it's Healthtech Finland, it's Danish Life Science Cluster, it's 2 EDIHs, European Digital Innovation Hubs, so Health Hub and the FAIR, and basically all universities in Finland are either one of these. And what we are doing with the AI Act, and soon will be also coming out the Data Act version and an EHDS, European Health Data Space regulation tool for you to navigate. All of you, if you're from Finland or if you're from Denmark, you can have your hands on these 3 new tools free of charge. Business Finland is also monitoring. and the Finnish startup community is involved. So moving forward, is there AI? Let's say yes. If I'm not sure, I could then pop open the new tool, and this is the beta version of the AI Act. Just to move a little bit forward, it takes you through the definitions again, artificial intelligence, or would it be a general purpose AI model? If I don't know, I can take a tiny path to explain me more thoroughly how if I'm really AI. Some things to consider if I'm at the research stage, what to do if I'm a safety component, if the AI is a safety component of a medical device, what then? And a few more topics. Let's say none, just to keep it simple. Who am I? Am I the provider? Am I the deployer, the hospital maybe? Because I have responsibilities regarding the AI Act. And you as a manufacturer, or a future manufacturer, might be very curious to know what are the implications to hospitals from the AI Act. So go ahead and pull it out from the system as well. So let's say I'm a provider. Let's not even go into the product manufacturer topic. And I move along to figure out if it's prohibited completely maybe. It might be a combination of a medical device and emotion recognition or biometrics, something like this. It might happen. So this is another thing to put you under the AI Act. And then there's the full list of other EU legislation which might make you a high-risk AI. And here you find something very familiar, medical devices and IVDs. And now you have the opportunity to go back to another tool to figure out if you were one and if you need a notified body to audit yourself. So it's all now connected to one another. And then I return back to the regulatory journey. I fill this format, and what I get out and what Saara just requested is this. The final report, it's an email, it's text. I've moved it into a document. And this final report would summarize your answers. Who are you? What have you done so far? At what stage are you? What other principles like quality management system, clinical evaluation did you do, and until what stage? And if you can use this to communicate with the consultant or with the notified body again, time, yeah, 1 minute, half a minute. And moving forward, it's also full of action points to educate. Let me go to 4.4, the list of applicable regulations and standards that you might be curious about based on your answer. So it's very personalized. And then go to chapter 9, task time and cost estimates. So this is again what the Danish wanted to put here. We had a Dutch guidance to follow and compare these two. And if you click this, you would get your hands on a timeline figure that gives you the principle that it's not going to be half a year ever when you go to the investor, but it's going to be something different. It's years, and for such and such type of a product, this even could be a little bit optimistic. But you get the idea and understanding what you need to do to get to the market, and a working day estimate roughly what is going to take from the regulatory people in your team. Just an idea. What is the money you need to pour into this particular line of work? And then we come back to my presentation and our aim. We want to put you on a new baseline of understanding and knowledge. And then you are free to go to whomever and continue work in whatever program. That's our target on a European level.
And just a quick, before you sit down, there's one more actually task in the workshop, is to like fit one more chair on the stage.
Or he can also
okay, you can stand.
Here.
Good.
It's good. Thanks. Thanks, Otto.
Okay, so excellent presentations. And I'll start with Veera Vihula. Okay, so can you tell us what are the key factors in developing effective R&D strategies in public sector?
Yes, and I'm going to say something very controversial. No, I'm not, but some of you were dozing. I've been sitting here quite long, so I can see you. Heikki was talking about need-based innovation, but what we need is actually strategy-led innovation and R&D programs and strategies. Because if you look at it from the public sector perspective, as I do, you are always with the limited resources. So there's always needs, but it needs to be strategy-led how we prioritize those. And to do that, we also need to have strong emphasis on the impact assessment and research to actually find the effectiveness that we are looking forward with the R&D and I programs that we do.
Okay, thank you very much. You can also tell how the patient feedback is taken into account, because that is very important. You all can comment also, but Veera, you can start.
Yeah. Well, we here at Western Uusimaa Wellbeing Services County, we do have a participation program that looks into the open participation from different perspectives. But from the innovation point of view, one of the key ways to do that is our residents panel. It's an open panel that anyone can join and then get invitations to surveys and workshops to be involved. Of course, we do have a feedback channels as well, but when we are planning participation and the part of the patients or clients in these processes, we need to be very aware of the timing and the phase that we are in, so that we do not participate for the sake of participation. It needs to actually have an effect, because it's very short road if we start to have those kind of workshops and surveys that do not have anything to do with the facts that we are actually developing. So that is something that we need to be very conscious about.
Thank you. Anybody else want to comment about the patient feedback? No. Okay, then we go to Rasmus Fält. How does Beta Health support startups in navigating in the healthcare innovation landscape?
Yeah, we do that in several ways, as I also explained in my short talk. But I think the most important thing, and it's actually come a bit back to the point about what role does the patient play in this, because I think when you decide to do an innovation project within health tech or even medical devices, you'll start to have a lot of stakeholders within that field. So it's both patients, it's users, the clinicians, the nurses, whoever will be in touch with it. It will also be the decision makers. So there's a lot of different stakeholders who can influence if your project or product will become successful. So you'll have to start working with these. And I think one of the key points is that within healthcare, there's very not so often a single person who can say yes to your product, but there's a lot of person who gets the chance to say no. So you have to manage all these stakeholders in one way or another to come.
By the way, what are the biggest challenges of startup companies in Denmark?
The biggest challenges, of course, I'll skip funding, because funding is always there, and that's always an issue to obtain enough funding. But I think working with these teams, as we do in Beta Health, it's also quite evident that the biggest problems may arise from within and not from the outside. So it's actually working closely with the teams and building this organization, which is key for them to excel and progress and accelerate their process. So it's, of course, you still need funding, you still need regulatory approval, but it's working closely together with these teams, understanding what are they, each and everyone, getting out from this project. And I'm trained as a biomedical designer from the Biodesign program in Denmark as well, and built my own company from that program. And it's so evident that the most important thing is that the ones you're building this together with, It's more than a marriage. It's more than having a kid together. It's really getting back to how do you actually act as humans together, and do you all gain from this project from within? Okay,
very good lessons also here in Finland. When Paulus, Torkki, what are the key metrics for assessing the operational impact of healthcare innovations?
Well, that's a good question, but first I have to say that I got one answer to my questions, and I have to say lean entries. Can you do the same for the health technology assessment or evaluation processes? Because that was exactly what I meant, that if you can find a standard solution for problems which all the companies face, so it may speed up the process, and that's very interesting. But related to that impact, as I finished my presentation, the value-based healthcare is now the megatrend in many countries in healthcare systems. So basically, you should somehow show how you can improve patient-relevant outcomes, or how can you decrease the costs related to care. Of course, depending on your solution, the patient experience or personal experience may also be relevant, but I think if you really can improve the value of the operations, that's the big thing at the moment.
Okay, then Saija, Stenroth, can you provide us an example of design-led innovation that improved healthcare delivery?
I think there are multiple examples, but I take it from this product development. I think this is a typical situation when we are creating something. We fell in love with the ideas we have, and there is plenty of them. And it's difficult to choose the functionalities that you really that are really making the value, creating the value to the customer. And I think there has been the magic moments for us that we can use, like, for example, user research, and those functionalities that had been chosen were the ones that truly let this customer lift up the customer's experience. And we eliminated the ones that maybe saved some money.
Well, are there enough service designers in Finland? I must say that very seldom we heard presentations like you, and I think we should hear much more that kind of things.
Thank you. I don't know if we have enough, but I think that's the main thing is to remember that when we are, I think you said it, technology is a great tool. We need to remember that, but it's in our hands, and together we can create something imaging.
Thank you. How does Biodesign Finland ensure that innovations are both effective and safe? And this is questions to Heikki Hieminen.
Okay, that's a very, very good question. So to clarify sort of the role of the Biodesign sort of as part of the innovation process is that we focus in the program in sort of the identification of the needs, sort of generating the grounds for users to be there, ready to take the product when it's out there, and of course patient safety and effectiveness comes through sort of interactions with the clinicians, but we rarely get to the stage within the 10 months program where we actually come to assess sort of effectiveness of safety, we basically, based on some evidence, we create some kind of a concept and raise the follow-up funding, and the product comes a little bit later. So in the program per se, we are not directly assessing this, but of course we are trying to see in the future that what it could like, and we are thinking about this when we are creating the solutions for the to address the needs.
Thank you. Then Ryoichi, Nagatomi, you described very well the collaboration between industry and academia, but can you share insights from Japan Biodesign program on successful healthcare innovations?
Well, as I mentioned, team building is very important, in all the phases. But as Rasmus told us, good members. So you all question about the skills or the expertise, how the members are expertise. But more important is the human relationship, humanity, as well as the team. So to have a good soccer team, you can win, but it's very similar in the designing team. So we are now, so we are now able to tell this countrywide, and then and I'm sure we have better teams, as our national football team is doing well among European the teams. So a team building is the key, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And also for industries, because they could also be a member of the team.
Yeah. And I'm a strong believer of industry-academia collaboration. And
Academia, of course,
and
yes.
if anybody wants to say anything about that, so we are welcome.
One more thing.
Yeah.
No. So, but being in a team, you had to understand each other. But so people with different backgrounds, needs. Okay, so in the beginning, we need interpreters. So the words that we use, for innovation, people understand innovation different ways. So we have to understand each other, and occasionally we need interpretations. And for example, the tool that you provided for the regulatory affairs, this is also we need interpreters. And your tool is a perfect interpreter, I'm sure. So we need in different phases, we need interpreters. Could be a software, could be an application, could be the real person, but to build a good team.
And of course we need that public sector like Veera's council.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, then we have Heikki here, our regulatory expert. So what are the primary concerns when introducing new technologies in healthcare? You have met many companies, so what comes up?
We have met plenty. That's true, and I think the main thing really to focus on is to give the knowledge at the early stage. I like to repeat that fact, because if they get too far ahead with the technology that they usually focus on very strongly, that's where they might grow a little bit twisted. They might need to redesign their software, and those hurdles, we've seen too many of them already in the past. So that's what I would like to give to everyone, to really get the basics right. And it's not only regulatory, there are many principles that you need to apply. We've met a reimbursement tech company, Max Insights, that is a Dutch-German startup in our kind of the same realm. Go and reach out to them. They might be able to speed up your reimbursement hurdles. So it's also what Sitra and technology industries are doing now. They are putting together RegTechs. So these interpreters could be readily available for everyone who are already proven somewhere in the corners of Europe, maybe.
And this is very important thing to academia as well, because we have seen, for example, that in academia some clinical research have been made, and it's not approved in the regulatory process, so companies have made them again. So I hope that every academician also understands the basics of regulations. We are now at that point that if you have any questions in the audience, so please.
So, question for the panel. Do you see that generative AI is compressing the time and the costs of your projects? And is that affecting the amount of funding you need? Is that bringing the funding down, or do you just need more projects and more funding?
Both. I think the speed for the technological development is now so rapid that we kind of have to run to keep up with it, and even then we are still a bit behind. But we do strongly believe that generative AI can solve those issues that we have recognized. We just need to find the paths to go forward, taking in account the legislative and regulatory boundaries. And that also needs us that to succeed, we kind of you put out the point that we need to educate ourselves. And I just have to comment that if you are having a new technology solution, and the first time you meet the regulatory questions is with the procurement, with the public sector, then we are in trouble. So please do check, because we don't have the knowledge enough at the moment. We are trying to learn, but we need the collaboration to actually get to the next level of this wave that the generative AI actually is.
Yeah, maybe also to answer the question, thank you. Because we are running a granting platform, basically, an application platform in Beta Health. And now we actually see more applicants, instead of answering some of our questions in the platform, I don't know, or yet to be discovered, they come up with some kind of answer. And it's very ChatGPT-like. It's very eager to answer you, and they are the same, of course, with us. But I wouldn't rather see an generated AI answer than a real person answer, but I would rather see it than I don't know. Because then at least they had the idea to use some kind of tool to educate them just a tiny bit on the differences between a business case and a business model, or whatever it can be. So they start to, we can see them using these tools to apply to us. And of course, we also use them in the other way around to understand, sometimes to make our text better, shorter, more understandable for the researchers and clinicians who are applying for money at Beta Health.
I have a question for the panelists. After struggling almost 2 years with the regulational stuff, how long do you estimate that EU can keep the world's tightest regulation compared to US or any other country we've seen or heard? Because it is in practice a real hurdle for a startup, and everybody says this, but it seems that there is no mercy from the EU. But how do you see this? Because it's a practical problem.
I get the honors, thank you. Regulations are not going to be less, but there's going to be more. As much as they speak about it, the European Commission, as much as Draghi writes it in his report, the engine has been built in a way that it creates more regulations. So we're mapping it out, and it's going to be just a growing problem. And if you think of health tech, there's nothing really dramatically new in the MDR compared to the MDD. You need to produce safe products. You need to put them on the market in an orderly way. It's that the management, the assessments, everything has been brought on a new level, and that's causing a lot of slowdowns and classifications have been turned upside down to the rest of the world regarding software. We really don't want it, but we have major hurdles to turn that back to what it was with the MDD times. So it's not gonna change in the next 5 years, I'm sorry. And I understand you might have the urge to go to the US or other countries perhaps to start your business. It's really logical, and that is causing now pressure at the European Commission. So keep on doing it. You're doing a good job. We're going to change the regulatory eventually.
And we are a lobbying organization, and we talk a lot about that. And actually, we are collecting from our members the problems they have right now. Next week, we will send a message and ask those. Lean entries tool is very good. We talk with Fimea that one thing should be asked only once, even it's mentioned in many articles. We talk about to Business Finland, and some documents could be made part of those funded projects. We are also collaborating with technology industries. They have very strong lobbying organization also in Brussels. We are a member of COSIR. MedTech Europe is active. COSIR have, by the way, calculated that Artificial Intelligence Act will increase 30% of the regulatory costs. So that really is a problem. Digital Europe is also lobbying about things. So the problem is very well known, and we hope that there will be some kind of help to companies or some good ways so that companies and other organizations could handle those difficult things. So very.
If I just can add, because it's not only the startups who are struggling with the regulatory framework in the EU, we also have major players saying the same thing. And one of them, which were quite open about it, was Johnson & Johnson. They said it's not a question anymore if it should be EU or US first. It's definitely US first. It's a question now if it's EU or Asia as second or third. So this regulatory framework is really changing the landscape of what our patients will be able to have as medical devices, and it's terrible. So definitely we need to continue to put pressure, but we should also remember that we have put in these frameworks because we had issues with the patient safety. So it's for the patient's own good, but it should not be as strict, so we are missing out on great innovations for our patients' sake.
Okay, maybe we'll end up this panel, but not so in sad things. I give you all a possibility to give the take-home message. Where can start, and then we go through all of you.
Be brave.
Just do it. Start and then figure out. I think it's not as important where you start as where you end up. So it's just leaning into the journey and figuring out on the way.
Yeah, I really believe MedTech or Healthtech is the hope for Finland. So it's the most rapidly growing export industry, and we should keep on going.
Create shared understanding. I think it will affect on your working table.
I would like to say that don't fall in love with your ideas. Understand the need, trust the facts.
Right. So many people mentioned about having a striker in a team, but definitely we need a midfielder and a good goalkeeper that could overview the project.
As tough as it is, remember that we are in a very steady industry here. If you think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, everyone needs to be healthy and safe. So it's going to continue invest in health tech, and you will get your reward. If it comes in 30 years or 50, I don't know, but you will get it.
And remember that you are not alone. There is always help available. I often market our association that it's very sad to cry alone. Come and cry with others. So thank you very much and enjoy the event.